If you have a multi-monitor setup and you're using the NVIDIA proprietary driver on a Linux-based operating system, or if you use any DisplayPort monitors on a Linux-based system with an NVIDIA card, then you may have had problems last week. Does this sound like your situation? You're running a flavor of Linux, and on Tuesday your computer was just doing fine. You were able to do everything you needed to do, but the next day you try to start your computer and you get to a splash screen that you recognize as related to your motherboard, but you never get to your operating system login. Your first guess is some kind of hardware issue, right? Memory failure, maybe? Well, don't assume the worst. If you have an NVIDIA card, I may possibly have an answer for you. Thanks for clicking on my video. If this helps you, I would appreciate that thumbs up, that like down below. And if you're inclined, go ahead and subscribe. I even appreciate and respond to any comments you may leave. So if you want the quick and dirty fix and haven't already guessed what it is, here it is. Disconnect your GPU's display ports. Use the HDMI or DVI instead. See if you can boot. If you can't, then this video is not for you. It doesn't address your issue. But if you can, then roll back that NVIDIA driver. You likely got updated to the 460, and the only other option for you right now might be the 390. But this is what worked for me. With a catch. Stick around, I'll share with you how I figured it out, and the catch, and my workaround. Like you, last week, my computer just suddenly wouldn't boot. No reason I could discern. It would get to the splash screen of my motherboard maker, and then stop. Never any sign of trying to load the operating system. So I was all ready to pull the computer out of its place and crack open the case, because like I said, this kind of symptom often can indicate a hardware issue, perhaps memory. But I decided first to start checking the easiest things. I did still have a video out to one of my screens. And because I saw that motherboard splash screen, and I could get into my BIOS and the display there looked just fine, I didn't have a graphics problem, right? Wrong. I am running a Ryzen 9 390X. I built it last year. I'm running Ubuntu 20.04. It's the LTS. And because of, graphics card prices, it's supporting a 6-year-old Asus Strix GTX 960. Pushing my quad monitor setup by way of the proprietary NVIDIA drivers. Not that it really matters. The displays are 2/2, like I showed you in the very start of this video. What does matter is this. 2 of the monitors are on display ports. Display out from the computer, display into the monitor. 1 monitor is on an HDMI cable, and 1 monitor is on a DVI to HDMI cable. My splash screen was showing up on one of the HDMI monitors. And so, leaving that monitor attached, I unplugged the other 3 monitors and I tried to reboot, and you might have guessed it, it rebooted straight into the Ubuntu login screen. So I logged in, and while it was still running, I added the other HDMI monitor. Well, it didn't lock up. I was doing fine. So I rebooted to make sure, and all was still well. So then, in the same way, I tried to add one of the DisplayPort monitor, and it immediately seized. Locked up. No keyboard, no mouse response, nothing. I was forced to use the power button to force a shutdown. Trying to restart again, I was just back to that splash screen. No login screen from my Ubuntu system. So I decided I'd try the other DisplayPort monitor and ports. Figured that if that monitor was fine, then I'd try the other cable on this one that I just showed I had a problem with. See if it was the other monitor, or see if it was a monitor that was bad, a cable that was bad. Just try to rule out options. Maybe it's just the one port on the card. But using my HDMI monitors and trying to add a DisplayPort monitor, neither DisplayPort monitor would work on either DisplayPort. And changing cables made no difference either. No matter what I tried, attaching a DisplayPort monitor to the DisplayPort out of the card would simply cause the system to lock if I added them while it was running. And it would cause it not to boot if I added them while the system was off. Okay, so maybe the card has partially failed, can no longer handle more than 2 monitors. Let's test that theory. See if a DisplayPort will work with nothing else attached. So I removed the HDMI monitors, tried one DisplayPort monitor, tried again, still it wouldn't boot. Tried it with both monitors. My reasoning now, though, is it's highly unlikely that 2 monitors, my newest monitors at that, would fail at the same time, unless they had experienced an electrical surge at the same time. But since my surge suppression system in the power line is excellent, and it shows no sign of having taken a hit, I think the monitors are probably okay. Can I prove it? Well, since these monitors also have an HDMI in, I tried that option to see if the monitors would function at all. And I learned that all of my monitors are good on HDMI. So it's starting to seem that there is an issue with just the display ports on the card. I don't know how these cards are made and how likely it is that the display ports would fail, but not the other ports. That's my theory at the moment. Can I test it? As it happens, I do have one of these on hand, a DisplayPort to HDMI adapter. Please note, these will only work in one direction, attaching to the DisplayPort of the source, allowing you to connect your computer or whatever source to an HDMI display device. I decided to try that adapter, and now from that DisplayPort, I have good video signal, albeit an HDMI signal, from that port. What does it mean? I decided again to try for 3 monitors, and now using this adapter on this card and using the HDMI input of my monitor, I was able to get 3 good displays simultaneously. What have I proven? What can I test next? I continued to ponder it, and my underinformed theory is that if the GPU DisplayPort is really broken, nothing at all should be coming out of it. Yet I clearly have a usable HDMI signal here. Why would the card choose to work when an HDMI monitor is attached, but choose not to when a DisplayPort monitor is attached? Someone who understands how these graphic signals work and how the pinouts work for each of the types of connection might be able to answer it. I can't. So simplify the question. What could cause the card to malfunction in this way? Working perfectly one day, and then this weird issue the next. Could there have been a driver update? Aha! I never asked for one, but was one pushed to me for some reason. I first got my NVIDIA drivers the usual way, the right way, by enabling proprietary drivers under additional drivers in the Ubuntu software utility, software and updates. And the last version I remember having was either numbered 440 or 430. I think it was 440. 440 would have been last year, 430 would have been the previous year. So I'm pretty sure it was 440. But when I inspect the drivers now, I see the active driver is 460. And my only rollback option at that time was to go back to 390. I thought that I had to update from the 390 to the 440 to resolve some problem. I'll come back to that. But I decided to go ahead and do a rollback anyway. After password authorization was entered, the system deactivated the driver version 460 and reactivated driver version 390. Shut the system down, started reconnecting all my cables, DisplayPort to DisplayPort, etc. And hopeful, but not really optimistic, because I still think there's a chance the card has failed in some way. Holding my breath, I rebooted, and as far as I had been able to discern, the system's functioning normally, with one catch. With OBS on this 390 driver, I cannot do recordings with hardware encoding. I had probably updated to the 440 driver for this very reason. Now I see there is a 465 driver, and I will give it a try. But I wanted to get this information out there just as soon as I could, and I'll update more in the show notes when I learn more. Bottom line, my Asus Strix GTX 960 simply chokes on that 460 driver. So much for tested, whatever that means. The same driver, as I understand it, is used for several cards, not just those of the GTX 960 family. And so if your system locked up this past week and you're running an NVIDIA card, it might be that your card, like mine, simply doesn't like that new 460 proprietary NVIDIA driver. Try rolling back to the 390 version, or whichever earlier version is available for you in that software and updates utility. Let me know how it works for you. Or if the 465 is available, you might give that a try. That's what I'm going to do next. As always, your mileage may vary. I'd love to learn of your experiences on this NVIDIA quirk, for lack of a better term. Leave a comment below. And until next time, stay safe, stay curious, keep on learning.